Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Fiercely Spiritual podcast. Today, we are talking about divine intelligence. What is that? Don't worry, I'll explain in a minute. I am also going to give you a challenge where you will get to prove that divine intelligence is working in your life. So it's going to be exciting. And you will realize the insanity of trying to go it alone where you're trying to do everything without the universe on your side. So we're going to talk about all of that. Firstly, if you haven't met me before, I'm Sandra Ray, an author, healer, and spiritual teacher, and I'm so delighted you're here. Thank you so much for being here, for tuning in, and for listening. And I just want to welcome everyone because we've loads of new people joining us. So you are all so very welcome, and I'm always so delighted that you choose to be here. So we're talking about divine intelligence. What is divine intelligence? Well, it is the intelligence that made you, that made the universe, that has made everything, everyone, every living form that we know of. It is the all. It is, some call it source, some call it the universe, some call it God, creator, whatever you wish to call it. For now, we're going to call it divine intelligence. And it's not called divine intelligence for nothing because it knows what it's doing. So what happens is when we're born, we have this innate trust in this divine intelligence. We trust that we're going to be fed. We trust that we're going to be cared for. We trust that we're going to be nurtured. And we have to be that way because we're little babies. We have no other way to be except to be trusting. But somewhere along the way, we decide that we're now adults and we no longer need the universe to take care of us, that we can take care of ourselves. So it's a little bit like, when you're driving a car and maybe you're in the driver's seat, you're driving along, and there's a 5-year-old child or a 6-year-old child in the back. And the child says, hey, I want to go with driving the car. So for the sake of argument, let's say that you allow the child to sit on your lap and you say, okay, I'm going to deal with the pedals. I'm going to deal with changing the gears. I'm going to do everything. All you have to do is manage the steering wheel, and I'm going to help you with that. So you're really doing everything, and the child just has its hands on the steering wheel. It's not really doing too much. Now, of course, this is hypothetically speaking, we wouldn't normally do this, but for the sake of argument, go with this. So say the child for a while has had its hands on the steering wheel and it turns around to you and says, hey, you know what? I think I have this. You can let go now. You can get out of the driver's seat. I'm going to do all of this myself. Of course, the child doesn't know that there's a brake and that there's pedals. It doesn't know that, sorry, that is my phone, which I forgot to put on silent. It doesn't know that there are gears. It doesn't even know there's an engine. And that is exactly what it's like with us. We get a taste of being teenagers and adults and we think, I've got this. I know how this works. I know everything there is to know, especially when we're teenagers. And we think, you know what, I don't need the universe to drive anymore. I'll just do it all myself. And we forget that there's so much going on in the background that we have no clue of, and we really don't know what we're doing. And when you think about it, the conscious mind, it can only do one thing at a time. So all of the functions of your body, all of the trillions of things that are happening in each second, the hormone regulation, the immunity, the pumping of blood, just everything that's going on, your brain, your synapses, everything that's going on, all the trillions of things that are happening, you have no clue of what's going on, and nor would you want to. There is no possibility that your conscious mind would be able to do everything that's required to run your body from a second to second basis. There is no way you could do it. The conscious mind can only do one thing at a time. Did you ever say to a child to tap its head and rub its belly at the same time? And it's really difficult to do when you're a child because the conscious mind can't do two things at once. So what happens is if you start doing one thing, if you start just tapping your head and then you start rubbing your belly, you can do two things at once because one of those things has been relegated to the subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious is taking care of one of those things, and your conscious mind is taking care of the other. It can't do both at once. So when we think about the divine, we often think that we're running our lives, that we're doing it all, and we are afraid to give control back to the divine, whereas it's completely upside down. The divine is doing most of it. Most of it we're not even aware of, but there's a small percentage that we're taking control of, and we're totally messing it up. And we're thinking, okay, I'm going to be in charge of my health. I'm going to be in charge of my relationships. I'm going to be in charge of my career. And we think that we're doing a good job, and we're so not. We are not doing a good job. We are coming from that place of that little child who has their hands on the steering wheel, hasn't a clue what they're doing, but thinks they're driving the car. So I think it's time to start trusting divine intelligence, to start handing back control and trusting that it'll do its thing if we allow it. Because really, the problem isn't that divine intelligence can't heal our bodies. The problem is that we're not allowing it to. We're taking the steering wheel and we're steering this way, and the divine is saying, well, actually, you should be going the other way. And we think we're doing a great job of it. And we think, okay, I'll eat healthily. I'll have a special exercise plan. I'll do all of this, and then I'll be healthy. And then we wonder, well, that's not working. What am I doing wrong? We're not doing anything wrong. It's all a learning process. But what we could do right is trust the divine to heal the aches and pains. Trust the divine to heal our financial worries, to heal our relationships, to heal whatever is going maybe not so good in our lives, and just handing it over. So again, just being aware that there is that divine intelligence there who is ready, willing, and waiting to help you. And it's just waiting for you to hand over control so that it can do its thing. So what I want you to do is to think of one area of life that you could hand over to divine intelligence. Now, maybe don't pick a huge, big issue that's going on in life. Pick something small. It could be a decision that you have to make. It could be, where am I going to go on holiday? It could be something really simple. It could be, what am I going to have for dinner? Whatever it is, pick something small for the moment, but think of one area that you can hand over to divine intelligence. Then tell divine intelligence that you are handing it over. Now, maybe there is something big going on that you're really ready to hand over. And if that's the case for you, then go ahead. But if you start small, then you start to get a sense of, okay, this works, and you start to trust it more and more. And the more little wins that you have, the more trust you gain, and the easier it is when it comes to the big stuff. But for some of you, I'm getting a sense that you're ready to hand over some big things. So maybe that's what you need to do. So the second thing, so first is to pick the area. The second is to tell divine intelligence that you are handing it over. This is divine surrender. So tell the divine, listen, just like you talk to a friend, say to the divine, listen, this part of my life, there's something going on here. I'm not too sure what it is. I am handing it over to you. I am trusting that you are sorting this out for me. In fact, I know that you already have the solution and that is underway. So I'm completely handing it back to you. And then thirdly, each time you think of that situation or that person or that seeming issue, each time you find your thoughts turning to worry or lack or doubt, turn all of your attention over to divine intelligence. So what does that mean? So say there is something that you're waiting to happen and it hasn't happened yet, and you start feeling doubt and mistrust and thinking, oh, this might never happen. So when you notice yourself doing that, turn your attention to divine intelligence. So this simply is, well, what is divine intelligence to you? And it could be that it is this all-knowing power. It is infinite. It is all-loving. It has the solution to every problem. So just thinking about divine intelligence, what that means to you. And then you might just talk to yourself saying, divine intelligence already has the answer. Divine intelligence is working away in the background for me now. I know that divine intelligence can do this because divine intelligence created the world, the sun, the moon, the stars, the universe. It created everything. And divine intelligence is much bigger than me. It knows the answer. So you might just have a conversation or a dialogue in your mind like that. And you'll find that after, it's really quick, maybe 30 seconds or a minute, you'll notice that whatever the worry was, whatever the issue that had come up in your head was, will have dissolved and you are back on track. Now, this isn't about ignoring things. It's not about pretending that something isn't happening. It's not about ignorance in any sense. It is acknowledging the problem because you've chosen to pick something in your life. You've acknowledged that it's there. It is choosing to hand it over to divine, surrendering to a power greater than you, and then choosing not to let your fears and worries take control and take over. You are choosing to shift your thinking from the seeming fearful to the loving. So it's not ignoring, it's consciously shifting where you are focusing your thinking and your attention, which is completely different to ignoring something. So you might then ask, well, how long do I do this for? How long do I keep shifting my attention to divine intelligence and staying in that place? And the answer is simply until you see the results that you want. So it could take a day, it could take a week, it could take a month, it could even take years. But the more you stay focused on divine intelligence and trust in divine intelligence, surrender to that, the quicker the things will start to shift. So let divine intelligence do its thing. Let it do its work. Stop interfering. Stop grabbing the wheel. Stop pretending that you know exactly what you're doing, and start trusting that whatever needs to happen will happen. It's all operating in the background and it will come to fruition when you are truly open to receiving it. And that's simply it. So I hope this has served you. I hope you benefit from this. I hope you use this. And I hope you see wonderful results in your life. And as always, let me know how you get on. I'd love to hear your stories. So thank you once again for being here. And I will see you next week for the next episode.